Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today our guest is Zack Boothe. Thanks for being on the show, Zack.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Zack went from washing windows to making $1.2 million in his third year of business as a real estate investor. He is here to share how he was able to accomplish this task, to inspire others to take control of their financial lives. He is most proud of his accomplishment and his ability to help others have life-changing financial success in their businesses. Zack, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for your time. Grateful to have you on and to hear this amazing journey that you had and getting to that 1.2 million in 1 year. I mean, that's most people only dream of having that kind of success in any business, much less a real estate business. So welcome. Give us some backstory. Let's build up to that time. I know there's many things in your story that I know that are going to encourage the listener as well as they are on this real estate journey also.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That's an awesome intro. Thank you. Sometimes I look at what I was able to accomplish and it's like, wow, how did I do that sometimes? Right. Feel very grateful, feel very blessed. Had amazing people around me to get there and it was not an easy journey for sure. But I'm on, your podcast to share this story, not to like, hey, look at me, look how great I am. But I want other people to understand that I'm no one special and that they can do it too. Truly, like I truly want to help other people. One of my main focuses of hitting that success is I wanted to have a platform to give back, right? So my journey in entrepreneurship started when I was 17, actually. 31 years old now. And I started working when I was actually 11. So my family had, we grew up pretty poor. My dad had a side business doing yard care. So I had to work. Working was just a requirement. My dad's pretty tough dude. He wasn't easy on me or my three brothers. Well, my youngest, yeah. You know how the youngest is, right? Always spoiled.
Yeah, the oldest don't get away with anything. The youngest can go burn the back head down and nobody says a word, right?
Right, exactly. But when I was 16, my parents took the stance of, okay, you're a man now. You can take care of yourself. You have some responsibilities. And they paid for my food. They paid for my housing. And they had taught me how to take care of myself, but I had to pay for my own insurance. If I wanted to drive, I had to pay for the gas. If I borrowed the vehicles, if I wanted a vehicle, I had to buy the vehicle. You wouldn't even co-sign a loan. I had to pay for my own basketball stuff and basketball costs if I wanted to play basketball in high school still. So I had to work. I had to find time to work on the weekends when I was trying to play basketball. And like, I had to kind of take care of myself at that point in some things, and which was the greatest blessing ever. I was so grateful for my father that at a young age, like it forced me to go out and work. And I had made cheese. I had worked and done handcrafted cheese, and I had framed houses and finished carpentry, and I did lawn mowing, and I did taxidermy, and I worked in a wood mill. I did all these different jobs by the time I was 17 years old. And so at 17, I was like, okay, this sucks. I can work harder than most of my bosses. And I'm getting like $5, $6, $8, $9 an hour, depending on the job. So I'm like, all right, I could start a business. It doesn't look that hard, right? So I started a window cleaning business, and I grew that for nearly a decade. And from the
How old were you then?
I was 17 when I started.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, on my 18th birthday, actually on my birthday, I went and got my first business license. I got insured and licensed, because I couldn't get some of the larger contracts I was trying to get because I didn't have that license and insurance. And my dad didn't want to take the potential risks and costs of a potential lawsuit or something. And so he wouldn't co-sign on a business application. So I had to wait till my 18th birthday. So that's actually what I did for my birthday. So, entrepreneurship's been really important to me for a long time. And from the outside looking in, this was 5 years ago. From the outside looking in, I was successful. I had 3 trucks. I had 13 employees. I had a YouTube channel that, had blown up on window cleaning and tutorials. I mean, you can look it up now. I think it has like over 10 million views on just the one video. And, it was it was great, but I was not satisfied. I had a lot of problems. I mean, I wasn't making that much money. My employees, it was constant turnover. I was not running profit. I was like 10% profit margin, which was terrible. And I had some debt that I couldn't pay off. It was like this burden over me. And I was just struggling. I wasn't happy at all. Part of it, I was taking risks with my safety, getting on crazy ladders. And like, I have this picture that I posted on Facebook, popped up as a memory the other day. And it's like me at the top of this flagpole feeding a cord through the pulley system, and I made the post. I was like, haha, I hope my mom doesn't see this, as a joke, but now I see it makes me sick. I did that for $50. Like, what the hell? Why would you ever do that? Right. And I was taking all these risks. My right shoulder still has problems in my rotator cuff from constantly washing. My employees would call in sick, so I'd have to go out on job sites all the time. I just was unhappy, and I wanted to do something different. So when I was out washing, I was listening to podcasts just like this, right? And I was reading books or listening to books because I didn't have time. I told myself I didn't have time to read at the time. And I wanted to get into real estate investing. I had bought a duplex. It was great, but I was running into those roadblocks, right? How do you get more debt when your debt to income ratio sucks? How do you get another loan or commercial loan when you don't have 20 to 30% down? I was hitting all these roadblocks of like, okay, what do I do? So I tried flipping houses, and I started talking to all my wealthy, window cleaning clients if they'd fund a flip, and I tried to do a flip and I lost money, and I was like, man, this sucks. Like, how can I tap into this world of real estate investing? And I started learning about some different mentors and coaches that taught something called wholesaling, which is essentially syndications, right? For single families, for small multifamilies, where you put the property under contract and that contract's assignable. You can sell that purchase contract. You just assign it to someone else's LLC or to someone else. They close on it and pay you a fee. And I was like, wow, that's for me, right? I can do some marketing. I can do some sales. I can do this. And paid a mentor $10,000. And not only did I never do a deal, I never produced a lead. I never even talked to a seller that would sell their house at a low enough price that it would work, right? And so I kind of gave up for a couple of years. I beat myself up, and there was a moment. The reason I really went for it and paid that $10,000. My son was born, and it was the most beautiful day of my life. But I couldn't help but only focus and think about, how am I going to pay these medical bills? And it still makes me kind of sad. Instead of focusing on the most beautiful experience ever, I was focusing on, how do I pay these bills? And I'm sure so many people that listen, they've either had this story and have found success, or they're searching for success and they haven't quite found it. And they can feel that, right? They feel the pain of not being able to have a quality of life because of money. And so I took that risk, paid $10,000, put most of it on a credit card, and never did a deal. Had an experience where one of my window cleaning clients, he was actually a developer, very wealthy dude. Got talking to him. I was like, man, that's so cool. I'd love to buy 2 rentals this year. And he's like, oh, I got 2 rentals. I don't want to deal with them. Haven't collected rents in 4 months. They're just a headache. And he basically just gave them to me, seller finance, no money down, just deeded them over to me. And I was like, holy shit, people will give you properties at massive discounts at great terms. You just got to find the right people. It does exist. Right. And so I started searching for another mentor, and I found one. I paid him $9,000, the next mentor, and I started doing some deals. I wholesaled my first deal, like the traditional route, where you put the property in a contract, sell the contract. I sold it for $10,000. Right. And it was good. I started doing a few deals, and I walked away from window cleaning at that point. And that first year we brought in about $100,000, but it was not all profits, of course. I probably pocketed $30,000, which is pretty good. I could barely pay my bills, still had debt hanging over my head. And I was actually reading Multifamily Millions. I know we talked about this off the show, not multifamily. Yeah. Multifamily Millions, right? Which is a book about giant apartment complexes and doing multifamily syndications. And there's a little sentence in there, a little paragraph where he says that if you don't understand that real estate investing is marketing, if you can't get that between your two ears, you won't be in business for long. And it made me think like, wow, if multifamily investing is like the core foundation of it is marketing, like how true is that for wholesaling for smaller properties? Like I need to find a good marketing strategy. I need to find sellers at a higher rate. Like I need to marketing. And, and the thing is I had found those properties through some marketing, like marketing to people that were delinquent on their taxes and stuff. But it was a few properties here and there. It wasn't consistent. It wasn't consistent enough to really build a business around. I was having to do everything, right? There was no room for hiring employees. And so I learned about something that really changed my business. And that first 12 months of doing what I call driving for dollars, we did just shy of $500,000. And my life was changed.
Wow.
It was changed because
wow. Let's come back to that in just a minute. I want to ask you a couple questions just about your upbringing and just, at 16, 17 years old, you mentioned that, your parents said, okay, we're going to provide food and housing, but everything else is up to you. If you want to do extracurricular things, that's fine. But, Zach, you've got to find the way to do that. Looking, obviously that's hard. Most kids now, don't have to worry about anything like that. And so I want to ask you now that you have a child too, what does that look like for Zach's child? Are you gonna say, okay, you're gonna have to work hard. You're gonna have to do these things, do you contribute or give credit to just that hard upbringing? I had some similar stuff like that where I think if that didn't happen that way, I probably wouldn't be as driven, as I am now. But not that I would parent the same way my parents did, but I just wonder how you would handle that.
Well, some people think, well, that's harsh, right? I remember when I was 16, right after my dad had sat me down and told me that was the way things were going to be from then on. We went on a family vacation and they all went into the gas station and got a treat. My younger siblings got stuff, or my younger brother got some. And I asked my dad if he'd buy me a big gulp, right? It was like $1. And he said, no, you pay for your own stuff. And I remember I had the money, but I remember thinking, do I want to spend my hard-earned money on pop?
Mm.
And I
thought about it differently because it was your hard-earned money.
I thought about it way differently. And I remember it crushed me. I remember feeling my dad doesn't love me. Like, like if he cared about me, he'd buy this. But over the years thinking about it, it made me so grateful because when I got married, I knew how to budget. When I was on my own, I knew how to do stuff. When I started a business, I understood how to budget. I understood how to like, what do I really want? What do I really need? Like it really helped teach me, right? It forced me to get creative to create more money too. It pushed me to go start a business because I didn't want to make $8 an hour anymore. Like at the time I was very upset and a little bitter towards my parents, but now I am so extremely grateful. So how do I pass this on to my children? So I have a 6-year-old. He just turned 6, my little boy. And a couple months ago, he came to me and said he wanted to buy a little, those little electric Jeeps the little kids drive around.
Yeah.
He wanted one. And I said, okay, well, do you have any money? And he said, no. And he's like, I've got some in my piggy bank. You could have that. And I was like, son, I don't want your money. You got to realize it costs money. I was like, so we need to start a business. We need to go create money. It's easy to make money. Right. And I'm approaching this different from my father. My father was just like, go figure it out. You got to pay for yourself. It was kind of like he didn't want to deal with it. Just because he's a lot more reserved than me. He had a lot harder upbringing than I did. And so he's not as gentle and soft as I am. So what I did for my son is I showed him how to do door to door, and we went door to door, and I made him pitch that we would do some yard work for money. And we went door to door and then did the yard work. And I did this after work with my son to help him generate the money. He got the money and we bought the Jeep. Because I believe that, just throwing money at my children is much easier than spending time and educating and mentoring my children. Because Gosh, you're getting me emotional up here. Woo. When we care about something, when we care about others, the best thing that we can do for them, not just our children, but people around us, the best thing that we can do for them is spend the time and effort to teach them and give them the skill sets to become successful through their own efforts. Because not only can they then create success for themselves, but they create self-worth. They create love for themselves. They have that love for themselves. I believe in giving back, and I believe that that's honestly the best way to give back is to mentor and to teach and to coach.
That's awesome. No, it's give a man a fish or teach a man a fish, right? That quote. That's awesome. I love that, and we'll help him think through creating a way to make the money, and I think that's going to pay him forward, in big ways, no doubt about it. I wanted to give you a minute too to hone in on the marketing you started to talk about as well before we have to move to a few final questions. But as far as the marketing piece, what's some crucial tips for the marketing your real estate business that you've discovered?
So when someone owns a property that's a thorn in their side, right? They don't want to deal with it. They don't like the property. It's a pain point for them. People that they're burnout landlords, people that inherit properties, all these things why people don't love the property. If someone's worked their ass off their whole life and paid this house off and they worked 30 years, they paid 30 years on a mortgage and they take care of the flowers and they're not going to sell it for speed and convenience. They're not going to sell it at a discount, right? So, but if someone has a property that's a thorn in their side, the siding's going to blow off and they're not going to fix it. The grass is going to die. The grass is going to get long, right? Some shingles are going to blow off and they're going to throw a tarp up there, right? There's going to be physical signs that they don't give a shit anymore, that they've given up on the property. And so what we do is we actually drive around and find those properties. And someone goes, oh yeah, we do that too. But we do that on a scale that nobody else in the country is doing that I know of. We're adding 2,000 properties every single week to our marketing list, every single week. And, at that scale, at that amount of properties, and then reaching out to see if they want to sell, we're doing about 4 to 6 deals every single month, which is generating $1.2 million last year into our business. So we just opened up a market in northern part of Florida last month and just started going crazy. We're adding about 1,000 properties. We started about 500 properties a week. We already have 3 properties under contract, and we're working a negotiation deal for another 4 properties, which could generate well over $100,000 in the first month in that market.
Give me a couple tips that you have on scaling like that and putting in just systems in general.
Yeah. So obviously that, in just a few minutes, it's hard to give like exact how-tos.
Sure.
The biggest thing is we use a system called, Deal Machine. My brain went blank for a second. Deal Machine. I don't know why. I love that app. So we use an app called Deal Machine. What that does is it's basically like a Google Maps image, and it keeps track of where you are, and you can hold your finger over the house that you want to add to your marketing list, and it immediately uploads everything into an Excel spreadsheet. Who owns it, mailing address, property address, all that information. We can send that in to get phone numbers. So we're using that to build that list extremely fast. I have one driver that's driving 30 hours a week, and we're adding 2,000 properties a week with that.
Wow.
So with that, yeah. So it's not like I have this giant team. Like anyone can do this, guys, gals. Like anyone can do this. You can go do this. You're on your own. I'm so confident in that. I'm actually going to. I wanted to make that point, like that. I'm no one special. You don't have to have a ton of money, ton of experience to have crazy results and crazy success. So I'm flying to a new market in Florida. A place where I've never done a deal. And I chose Florida because it's sunny and I live in Utah and I actually don't like the cold. So we're bailing out of here January 12th. It's September right now. And taking my family to Florida. I'm going to take $1,000 and I want to turn it into $40,000 in 40 days. And I'm going to have a film crew following me and I'm going to put it out there for the world to see so they can see that they can do it. So I'm going to put it on YouTube.
Cool. No, that's so interesting. I love that thought and just putting yourself and your techniques to the test.
Yeah.
I know the listeners will look forward to seeing what you're doing there and how successful you are at it. A few more questions. Zack, I know you definitely have a high level of self-discipline, and I've been asking a lot of guests lately, how you have developed that self-discipline and maybe a couple things that you do daily that's helped you to reach the success that you have that you've been very disciplined about.
Caffeine, baby. No, I was kidding. Well, I appreciate that compliment. I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, you got to have a morning routine and you got to have this and you got to stay disciplined and you have to, there's the Gary V's and the Grant Cardones that say you got to work 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. And I say BS, because quality of life, to me, and maybe to many of your listeners, is a balance, is having a lot of time with your family. And I'm a major outdoorsman. I mean, for the last 50 days, I've been 3 days at work, 4 days in the mountains. 3 days at work, 4 days in the mountains. So I don't work every single day. I don't have an exact time I get out of bed every day to have success. But what I do and what I really focus on is I plan every single freaking day. Every single day, I know exactly what I want to accomplish. I have my tasks, and I work ferociously when it's time to get those tasks done. I believe that if we work to the point where burnout, the time that we do spend at work is not as fruitful if we took some time off and then went to work. So I have my Google Calendar. So the way I stay organized with tasks and responsibilities is I have my Google Calendars that gives me my tasks of what I need to do, and I block out certain days to spend time with family. I block out date nights. I block out my time in the mountains. And so when my team wants to add something to my list, I say, add it to my calendar if you can find space. If not, we're not doing it. Right.
I like that answer.
Yeah. And so I have my calendar, I have my system. And then I also have just a legal pad on my desk that I write down tasks or things that I would like to accomplish, right? Sometimes they'll sit on my task and I'll fill up the page and there'll still be 5 or 6 things that I haven't crossed off, and I'll put it to the next legal pad and rip that paper up and throw it away. And some stuff will stay on my desk for things that I need to accomplish, and they keep getting pushed back because they're less important for 6 months, a year even. And sometimes I just take them off because I realize, hey, it's actually not what I need for the goals that I have in my business. So I have goals, I have things that I'm trying to accomplish, and I set tasks and plan my day. I really believe that's what makes me successful. I plan my workouts. And so, like I said, I don't get up at the same time every day. If my tasks don't start till 9 o'clock in the morning, I can put in a workout in the morning if I decide to, but sometimes I decide that I would prefer to get extra sleep and sleep 9-10 hours. And I'll put that in there.
When do you do the planning? Like the night before, the morning of?
I'm constantly planning. I'm planning weeks out, months out, right? I'm constantly filling my schedule. But every day before I go to bed, I'll look at my calendar and look and see exactly what time I should be at work. I have a mental note of what's on my legal pad, and I may pencil in, hey, go work on this project, work on this. So last night I was here at the office till 7:30 at night, and I started at 6. And, I'll work some longer days, I'll work some shorter days, but like I said, I take long weekends often.
Nice. No, that's awesome. What about the way you've recently improved your business that we can apply to ours?
Oh, wow. Great question. Recently, one thing that I would suggest is the importance of tracking your numbers. Yeah. So what I would suggest is there's a great book. It's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. That book, it goes, so some of the main points is it talks about having a scoreboard, talking about, lead measures to lag measures. So example, like I played basketball, right? Maybe this will make sense to you if you played basketball, but on a scoreboard for a basketball game, you don't just have the score, right? You have how many fouls each team has. You have, the time frames of what quarter it is, what quarter it is, how much time's left in each quarter, or if it's towards the end of the game, the countdown, right, to the end of the game. You have the little arrows of who has possession of the ball. There's lots of things on a scoreboard, right? And with our businesses, we have the same thing, right? And the reason there's all those little details that keep track on the scoreboard is it'll affect the ultimate outcome, right? The ultimate outcome is who wins, right? And the ultimate outcome that we have in our businesses is where do we want to be financially? How much money do we want to make? But there's input, right? There's lead measures is what they call it, and there's lag measures. The lag measures is what we ultimately want. Money, right? Deals, that kind of stuff. Lead measures are, okay, how much marketing is being done? How many cold calls have we done? How much have we done in input to produce the output that we want? And so when I say track numbers, you need to be tracking what are the efforts that you're producing to produce the outputs. So what we'll track, for example, on our KPI sheet is how many text messages, how many addresses we're adding to our Driving for Dollars list. We track how many text messages we're sending, how many hours of cold calling, and each of our cold callers, how much time they're spending. We track how many postcards are being sent. Then we track how many people responded to each of those, how many of those were actual leads, how many of those turned into an appointment, how many of those turned into a contract, and then how much gross revenue that produced, all of our expenses that was accumulated, what our net profits are, and ultimately that's our lag measure, our net, our take home, how much we make, right? And that allows us to really get a pulse on our business. Just like that book said, real estate investing is marketing. So if we're not knowing that we're spending X amount of pennies to produce X amount of dollars, right? We can't build a business around it. We can't build any type of structure because we don't have a consistent flow of money into your business.
How often are you and your team reviewing that document?
We review every single week, and some people think that's overkill. And the reason we review every single week is I want to see any minor indiscrepancies, whether it's a typo, whether it's, hey, like, why is this going wrong? And, and I don't do everything in my business. I don't go on appointments. I coach, I help other people. And so for me, I want to get a pulse on my business every single week. And sometimes it's like, hey, why did we only send so many text messages, or why did no postcards go out? Oh, because of this and this, Zach, we're already working on it. Don't worry, we've got it taken care of, right? But I can quickly find the problems in my business every single week. Plus, if there's just like a typo, if that's the problem, we want to fix that every single week, because then when we combine all of those weeks into your running totals for your months, your quarters, and your years, you get a broad picture, right? If I see a marketing channel, let's say I hire a company to do PPC, right, to produce leads for me, and I find out that I'm spending 75 cents to produce $1, that's not profitable. I can't afford to pay an acquisition team. I can't pay, I can't afford that. I have to be 25 cents or less to make $1 for me to produce a 50% profit margin. So that's my criteria for those marketing channels.
That's awesome. I love that, just the detail or in-depth look at all the numbers and what's paying you and what's not. I think that's very valuable. And would you say a lot of that came from that book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, or how did you learn to do all that?
Mentors mainly. So another good book is Traction, that really helps with core processes and so forth. But my KPI system came from, it's on your desk. I freaking love it. I'm actually rereading that book again right now. But yeah, books and mentors. Like I'm a huge believer of mentors. I have a one-on-one mentor for my coaching business. I have a one-on-one mentor for another one for my coaching business that helps build out the systems and the actual tech side, which I actually don't even engage with. I have multiple coaches in my investing business. I have a coach that I hired to teach me radio ads, and we just started implementing radio. We have $50,000 that just closed recently for radio. We're going to make like $35,000 profit off that. So I hired a mentor to teach me radio ads. I have a mentor that has been teaching us how to monetize our retail leads. So I believe 100% in finding someone that's doing and accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish and have them coach you. So 100% as a coach.
What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Coaches, without a doubt. Mentors, 100%. Yes, I've worked hard. Yes, I've gone for it and I've taken that risk, but it's been, when I tried to do this on my own, I made huge mistakes, and I could go on and on and on about the mistakes I made before I found the right mentors. But as soon as I found the right mentors, it was success story, roadblock, found the right person to guide me and coach me, or saw something on YouTube, read a book, had something that opened my eyes, changed my perspective, was able to navigate that roadblock and move forward again. And so that's been my progress from the very beginning, is
Zack,
good mentors.
How do you like to give back?
So I coach. I give back by coaching. The reason I actually got into coaching is that year we did just shy of $500,000. I wanted to do $1 million the next year. I literally had no idea how to do that. I felt like I had tapped out the potential of the marketing channel. I was thinking, do I need a new marketing channel? What do I need? I did a self-help journal called Living Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. And it said that whatever you're trying to receive, you have to give away. So I created 3 big goals. One was to produce $1 million, but according to the journal, I had to give it away. I had to give away $1 million somehow. And I was like, well, I don't have $1 million to give away. That's why I want to make $1 million, right? And so I thought, hey, I could teach my marketing channel to put $500,000 to 10 different people. Those people implement it. They could have the same similar success. Boom, I put $1 million or more, and I'm worthy to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, right, to receive that blessing. And the craziest thing happened. They started asking questions that I had never thought about. My systems completely changed to where we did $1.2 million. I actually dropped my expense. I dropped my expense and almost doubled my profits. I'm spending less than 13 cents to make $1 right now. I mean, think about that. I mean, just crazy profit margins on top of how much I generated. But more than anything, my students started doing deals. You know, one of my first students, his first wholesale deal, he made $113,000 on his first deal. He's working full time.
No
Life-changing. Quit his job. Life-changing. He lives in Portland. You can see those success stories on my YouTube channel. I mean, single moms, amazing human beings that I love and respect. And I started teaching. I became hooked. I became a coach. I started doing everything I could to automate my investment business and have everything done for me so I could spend my time coaching and mentoring. And this isn't a pitch for you guys to be a student. I give away a ton of value, ton of free courses. I truly give back without charging, and so much.
You mentioned you have a whole course for free, right?
Yeah, I actually have a full wholesaling course for free. You can check it out at my website. I do have paid clients, but it's like all of my students, all my paid clients, they have their picture, their name, their market. It sits in my office. This is my recording studio. But in my main office where I work, they're all around me because they're holding me accountable to serve them and get them out of my office into my success wall. So in my main lobby, I have all my successful students. And so I only take on so I only take on a certain amount of students because I feel like if they're going to pay me, I got to get them success. And I only have so much time to really mentor them because they do get access to me. So
Zack, you have an amazing story. I just think it's incredible. No matter if you're wholesaling or syndicating or flipping homes, whatever it is, I mean, you have a high level of self-discipline, no doubt about it. And I just think it's incredible just to hear your story of how you got into it and had the other businesses, and finally, and through the level of number of coaches as well, it helped you to gain the systems and processes and experience and knowledge to get to the point you're at now. And now you're helping so many others do the same thing. And so how can the listeners get in touch with you and also see your video you're going to put together about your 40 grand in 40 days?
Yeah. So I have a one-place stop for everyone to make it easy. It's dfdmastery.com. So DFD, like for driving $4, mastery.com. That's my website. There's links to all my social media accounts if you want to follow my YouTube channel or any social media. Plus you can get access to all my free resources, including that free course that literally I've paid $19,000 to 2 different coaches to learn how to do. Like, that's a full comprehensive course to teach you, talk about driving for dollars, the coach, how to find the deals, how to make money, how to assign, how to work with buyers, how to build a cash buyers list, everything you need to do to be able to wholesale. So that's in there. And then, also if you want to get access to apply to become a student, like I said, I don't take everybody. I have a limited amount I take per month. You can book a call with me and apply. So, that's how you find me, dfdmastery.com.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.